guys, welcome in. Another edition, Rob Kendall Show. Don't forget, play along with everything we do with the Rob Kendall Show over at robkendallshow.com. robkendallshow.com. We've got the live feed is there, all the podcast links, transcripts. A bunch of you guys have started reading these and you're really into them, and we like them too. Transcripts of some of our favorite segments. We turn the segments into articles that you can read. And then, of course, we got that support button there as well. Thanks to Kim, who gave generously yesterday. Thanks to everybody who supported our show. Support button there at robkendallshow.com. We appreciate it, everybody, whether it's $1, $10, whatever. Thanks for supporting the show. You can find it all. robkendallshow.com. Play along on Twitter as well. A lot of stuff we talk about here. We do commentary as well. At Rob M. Kendall on Twitter. At Rob M. Kendall on Twitter. All right, big show. Lots to get to today. Before we do that, though, asking you guys to once again step up. I'm like Bernie Sanders, right? I am once again asking for your support. Need you guys to continue to drive forward on the subscriptions, on the thumbs up if you're watching the feed, and sharing us to the world. Look, I was talking about this earlier. Every morning, you guys know, on Facebook and Twitter, I try to do just a quick little 3 to 5 minute check-in, talk about some of the things we're going to be talking about each day. And it was kind of direct with you guys. I said, look, This is a full-time endeavor, right? And it's a lot of work, it's a lot of effort for Jason, for myself. 18-hour days, we're happy to do it, but we got to keep driving forward, and we can't drive forward without you out there in viewer and listener land letting people know that we exist. So I know for those of you fabulous people who watch us every single day, it's probably sounds like a broken record. There's a method to the madness. Please make sure, if you haven't, do it. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Give us the thumbs up on YouTube. That helps a lot as well. Tell your friends to do the same. If somebody owes you a favor, say, hey, make sure you go subscribe to the Rob Kendall Show. And, of course, wherever you're watching or you're listening, make sure that you share that feed. Let people know, hey, we're on Apple. Hey, we're on Spotify. I had a conversation with somebody yesterday who said, I'm so glad you guys are on Spotify now. I just don't do YouTube. It's so easy to listen to you. We don't care where people are consuming the content from. We know it's all over the place, but make sure you share the feed wherever you're getting us from. Let people know about us. And this is the thing I said, look, and I just put this out on Twitter. I will fight for you guys every single day. I got a message earlier this morning from somebody who is very involved, very active in conservative, they're really conservative activists is what they are. They're not an elected official, but they're very involved. And the person was saying, I'm so depressed about what's going on. I'm so depressed about some of the things we're going to talk about today. Like, I don't understand why the politicians aren't fighting. And I said, they never fight. The politicians tell you whatever they think you need to hear to get elected, and then they do what's best for them, which is to appease the donors, the lobbyists, the political class. We are here to fight for you. That's what this show is about. And I will fight for you. Jason will fight for you every single day. But we can't do it alone. The show has to grow. And the only way, just being very candid with you guys, the only way it's going to grow is if you have skin in the game and you guys are out there promoting the program, sharing the program. That is how we will grow. And us growing means that we can do a better job advocating for you, advocating for good public policy, being influential in terms of having a voice and getting information out that you need to get out in order to make government better and more accountable. So we're all in this together. We're all doing it together. We'll do all the heavy lifting. We'll do all the work. What we need you guys to do is subscribe, hit that like button each day, share the feed, and get your friends. Make sure your friends know about us, and we'll take care of the rest. All right, with that, let's get going. So I went to a meeting last night in Brownsburg, where I live, with their school system, and they were talking about some things related to the property tax laws, school funding, what's going to happen with your property tax bills. And I thought, well, while it is where I live, the information is vital to every person who will hear my voice. And I think it's important enough that we're going to lead with it. So a little background on this. I know we've mentioned it before. The Brownsburg school system is actively trying to avoid a school referendum. And they deserve a lot of credit for that. Brownsburg is one of the few school systems their size, certainly with the quote-unquote success rate that Brownsburg has had by state standards, that doesn't have a school referendum. And so they deserve a lot of credit for that. Now, if we're being honest, they tried to have a school referendum. It failed. And to their credit, they've decided a town that I live in, probably 50-50 at best whether it pass. And so they are taking the path of least resistance, which is great. That's what we should want all of our school systems to do. Avoid raising your taxes. That should be the goal of every single school system in this state. Sadly, it's not, because most school systems know there's a better chance than not they can bully, intimidate, use kids as human shields. That's our favorite saying, right? To get parents to do what they want, which is believe that unless they raise their taxes, education is going to suffer. That is the playbook of most school systems in this state. Unless we get what we want, whatever that arbitrary number is, your kid's school learning experience is somehow going to suffer. Now, for a variety of reasons, Brownsburg has not done that. Full credit to them. Other schools should take a lesson from their playbook. And so as part of this, they have been having these public meetings a couple times a month to let people in the community know, here's what we're doing. Here's been the impacts of Senate Bill 1. Here's been the impacts of some other property tax legislation, and asking for advocacy, which I think is a good thing, with the General Assembly on how people in the community are elected officials. You can advocate to them to make school funding more fair and more equitable, because school funding is a dumpster fire. Like most things in our government, they say there's a rhyme or reason to it, but it really doesn't make sense. It's brutally unfair. And just like very similarly to property taxes, they punish the successful. Our school funding formula actually punishes school districts that do better. Isn't that wild? Isn't that crazy to think the better you do, actually, the more you get punished in terms of being financially rewarded? So anyway, they've been having these meetings. They've been talking about advocacy, different things, and it's being successful. And this is the approach that more school districts should take. Instead of just defaulting and saying, hey, we're going to take the path of least resistance, throw a referendum up on the ballot, maybe it passes. If it doesn't, we can just come back next year and do it again. Brownsburg is taking the approach. Here's the things we'd like for you to do as members of the community to help us continue to keep your taxes now low, right? Low in air quotes, because taxes are not low, but lower than they would be if we went for a school referendum. And so I go to these meetings. I think this was the third meeting that they've had. And one of the things last night that they laid out in their presentations is how Senate Bill 1, despite all the bluster and the bravado and the BS, when we get right down to it, from the governor, from the General Assembly, that bill is not actually going to lower your property taxes in the long run. In fact, your property taxes are going to continue to skyrocket because the General Assembly did not address the key issue, which and I love seeing other people talk about it. I love seeing other people acknowledge the things, especially people that you're not going to say, oh, they're just politically aligned with you. I don't think anyone's going to confuse a public school system for being politically aligned with Rob Kendall. And at this meeting last night, they said the same thing that I have been saying, which if the public school system and me are on board with something that is opposite ends of the spectrum, you know it's probably true. The property tax bills, no matter what sort of rebate they're giving you, just a reminder, the credit is a max of $300. And they've tried to tell you that this is going to be with some changes to homestead deductions, that this is going to be some sort of magic bullet. It is not. Why? Because nothing has been done about assessments. The spike in assessments is the driver of why property taxes have gone up. Why? Because we have a system in which your taxes go up, your assessment goes up based on what someone else sells their house for. You don't cash out. You don't make any extra money. You just stay in your house. You pay more every year because some other guy made money. Kamala Harris proposed something similar to this with stocks, right? Wealth tax and unrealized capital gains tax is actually what it is, which is what property taxes are. The state says, the county says, oh, your home is worth whatever. Well, yeah, but I'm not selling my home and not making any money. Yeah, but if you did sell it, it'd be worth X. So that's what we're going to tax you off of. Yeah, but I didn't I didn't sell my house. I didn't make any money. Doesn't matter. If you did sell it, that's what it'd be worth. This is the exact same thing that Kamala Harris proposed in 2024 running for president, and she was rightfully called a communist, socialist, all of the things. Republicans who run our state do it for property taxes, and it's a status quo. The Republicans in the General Assembly and the governor should be asked, what's the difference? Why is it when Kamala Harris proposes it, unrealized capital gains tax, she's a communist, a socialist, wants to break the fabric of America, she's anti-capitalist. When our yearly tax structure for property taxes is the exact same thing, that's fine in the status quo. Ask your representatives that. Ask your senators that. I'd be fascinated to see what they tell you the answer to that is. So Brownsburg went through last night at this community meeting. They did a projection chart on what is going to happen to someone in a $316,550 home. I think that's the average home in the price, home price in Brownsburg. I think that's why they use that. So they had this chart based on, and again, it's not an exact science, right? Obviously, there's market fluctuations that could change. You could have new laws that come in, but they did a projection based on what we know now, based on what has happened in the community. So right now, that home would pay $3,165.50 in property taxes because homes, your homestead, where you live, if you own your home, is you pay 1%. Most people, because that's the tax cap. Most people in thriving suburban municipalities pay 1% of whatever their home is. And so 1% of $316,550 would be $3,165.50. Think about that. You pay, if you're that person, more than $3,000 every year for the privilege of living in your home. Think about how disgusting that is. More than $3,000 a year, which, by the way, $316,000 home, that's nothing today. That's nothing. It's 1,800 square foot house on a fourth of an acre, depending on when the house was built. It's nothing. But you have to pay more than $3,000 annually for the privilege of living in your home. And by the way, if you don't pay it, government take your home from you. They can. And we've seen it happen. So what the school did is they had a computer model extrapolate out what does property taxes on that home look like over the next 10 years. And by the time they got to the 2035, that same home, which is paying an egregious $3,165.50 in property taxes today, will pay $4,214 9 years from now. The property taxes in 9 years, 10 years, because the model starts in 25, so 10 years, will have gone up $1,000, more than $1,000 over the next 10 years. This is what the General Assembly created with Senate Bill 1. Because no matter what they do with credits or homestead credits or rebates, as long as housing prices continue to go up, it will all not only be offset, but it will continue to climb because the assessments are rising far more than those credits are kicking in. Like I've been screaming about for the past year, ever since Jeff Thompson, out of nowhere in March, I think it was March of last year, just randomly introduced what became Senate Bill 1. Jeff Thompson, head of Ways and Means in the House, and nobody understood it. Most people didn't read it. I asked Carrie Hamilton last year. She's a state rep from Indianapolis. I asked her on air, I said, what percentage of your colleagues read that bill, and what percentage understood it? And she thought maybe 10% read it. So if you have 150 people in the General Assembly, 10% read it, that's 15 people. That's not even the ones that understood it. That's the ones that read it. And this is why I've been screaming for the past year, and the school systems are now confirming this, that not only are we creating a mechanism by which school referendums are going to be happening all over the state this fall. Why? And we'll get to this in a second, because this wasn't about helping homeowners. It was about helping businesses. So what happened is you're seeing this decrease in revenue, much of it coming because of a giveaway to big business, which we'll talk about here in a second. So the schools are seeing a shrinking of revenue we don't call it loss around here because you can't lose something that was never yours to begin with. But the schools will see a shrinking of revenue. You're not getting much of anything back. Now, you'll see something this year, and this is the con. The con is most people will probably see something this year because of that $300 credit which kicks in, which the assessments are not going to offset in year one. So some people will see a lower property tax bill. And what the state wanted to have happen is you see that and you go, oh, I did get a property tax reduction. Of course, it's egregious what you're paying to begin with. If you get 10% off that, you're still paying an egregious amount, but they want you to be fooled. And it's the frog in the boiling pot of water, in which it will just steadily go back up because of assessments. So what you're going to see is the big giveaway. We talked about this before. The big giveaway in Senate Bill 1 became giveaway to big business, because what they did is they gave a massive tax cut on what they call personal property. That's the stuff in the business. So a bill that started to fix egregious spikes in property taxes for homeowners, you got next to nothing. The businesses are going to get tens of thousands of dollars, some every single year, because of the giveaway to personal property tax, which became the heart of the bill. And your assessments are going to continue to climb, which means you're going to continue to pay more in property taxes. Oh, and by the way, these schools will get less revenue, like more than likely, at least in the immediate, than they had before. So now they're going to go for a referendum because they're not just going to take that lying down, especially if you don't have a me in your community. So your property tax cut, will be offset in the next couple of years. So you'll end up paying more. The referendum will raise your property taxes if it passes. Oh, and in all likelihood, now that because these local governments can implement local income taxes, you're going to pay much higher income tax. That's the bill. That's the bill that the General Assembly came up with. By the way, Jeff Thompson, if you live in Hendricks County, he is up for re-election this year. He has a primary challenger. If you vote for Jeff Thompson, I don't even know anything about the woman that's challenging him. But if you vote for Jeff Thompson, that's what you're voting for. That was his bill. That was his end-all be-all to fix the property tax system. By the way, they have a comments section at the end of the presentation. Like, you can ask questions, have comments. This is how wasteful our government is. So one of a guy was there who was on the Braun Township Board of Trustees. So Brownsburg, for those of you who don't know. And again, I use where I live, but you extrapolate this crap out to where you live as well. So Brownsburg is made up of two townships, Brown and Lincoln Township. This guy is on one of the boards, Brown Township. And we've talked about how wasteful the townships are, how they're a layer of government that doesn't do anything, all of that stuff. This guy's on the Brown Township board, and he's talking about, because the school is asking the townships to help them out with some things to avoid the referendum. Good idea. This guy claimed last night that the township had so much money and nothing to do with it that they allocated $500,000 for an exercise room for the firemen at the fire station. $500,000 spent on an exercise room. Now, again, his words, not mine. Assume he's on the board of trustees. He would know what he's talking about. Doesn't mean you can hear that. It doesn't make you anti-fireman to be outraged. It doesn't mean you don't want to support the firemen. But at a time where we claim there's no money for roads, there's no money for basic necessities, that schools claim they can't function without more revenue, and this township has so little to do with their money that they were like, well, here's $500,000, firemen. Build yourselves an exercise room. Get some nice stuff while you're at it. Assume it's accurate. Guys on the board said it in a public meeting. 100 people heard him. Have no reason to doubt him whatsoever. This is our system. This is the system that Republicans in the General Assembly have created. A system in which they allow local governments to scream, the sky is falling if you get anything. Yet then there's all this money for these egregious expenditures like, well, we don't have anything to do with this money. Here's $500,000. Build yourselves an exercise room. Sure. Why not? Hey, let me tell you about a guy who actually cares about your money, and that is our pal, Gary Tedrow. Before choosing a mortgage, it's smart to talk with someone you trust and can actually sit down with because he's local. That's where Gary Tedrow, our guy with Verity Mortgage, comes in. He's a local lender helping buyers and homeowners across central Indiana with home purchases, refinancing, and strategies to manage debt using home equity. Gary focuses on education and guidance so you understand your options before making a decision. No pressure, just solid advice from someone like you. To see what may be possible for you, visit loansbygary.homes, loansbygary.homes, or call 317-695-5179. 317-695-5179. You got nothing to lose but dollars on your mortgage payment. 317-695-5179. Gary Tedrow, in MLS, number 179207 with Verity Mortgage, in MLS 70345, an equal housing opportunity lender. Okay, when we come back, you won't believe what the governor did yesterday. The IEDC is back and badder and bigger than ever, and something he said he was getting rid of, still working in full force. Probably not working for you. We'll tell you about it next. You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
Buying a home or thinking about refinancing? Work with someone local who understands the central Indiana market. Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage helps homebuyers and homeowners explore options for purchasing, refinancing, or even consolidating higher interest debt through their mortgage. Gary's approach is simple, clear advice, and personalized guidance so you can make confident decisions. Visit loansbygary.homes to learn more or get started today. You've got nothing to lose but dollars on your mortgage payment. So call for a free, no-obligation quote, 317-695-5179. Gary Tedrow, NMLS number 179207 with Verity Mortgage, NMLS number 70345, an equal housing opportunity lender.
Are you seeing cracks in mortar, moisture working through walls, facade or structural failure beginning to surface? Bramwell Mackay sets the standard for exterior and structural building solutions. Our 40-year master masons and industry experts address moisture intrusion, failing foundations, masonry deterioration, and more. From preserving historic landmarks to addressing modern building envelope issues, Bramwell Mackay delivers full-spectrum service with white-glove professionalism. In Indianapolis, call 812-33-BRICK. 812-33-BRICK.
Are you a Clay County resident who is ready to be part of creating a brighter future for our citizens? Doug Cobb is running for county commissioner and will bring fresh perspective to the table. A local farm and business owner, he has skin in the game of our county's success. He knows that a great team can accomplish so much more than any one of us alone and is ready to create a brighter future for Clay County together. The committee to elect Doug Cobb approves this ad. Paid for by Linda Cheatham.
Hey guys, welcome back. Rob Kendall Show. Play along on the YouTube. The chat is live. It's active. You do have to be a subscriber in order to chat. That's how we incentivize you to be a part of the YouTube. And as a subscriber, just hit that subscribe button and you're in. You can play along. It's a great community we've got there. We love you guys. Thanks for people who participate every single day. Jason, producer Jason, put a question up, a little poll question there in the chat. We're not saying we're going to do this. We're not signing ourselves up for anything yet. But the show has been so popular and we've gotten such a great response both on the YouTube and on the other podcasting platforms that, and we have been, the advertisers, the people who are willing to sponsor us have stepped up. You who are supporting us at robkendallshow.com, we got the support button there if you want to throw a few bucks our way. The response has been so amazing and people have suggested it. And so Jason and I, against our better judgment, started having a conversation yesterday. Should we go to a third hour? Now, again, let me be very clear. I am not signing myself up for a third hour yet, okay? All right? But if this continues and the people keep coming out and you guys keep doing what we're asking you to do, we're open to doing that. And so the poll question up right now, would you prefer, if we did that third hour be 9 to 10 or noon to 1? If we were to do that. And so we welcome your, I think Jason is lobbying hard for noon to 1. But we will listen to what you guys have to say. And again, that's all thanks to, look, the response has been phenomenal so far. We couldn't ask for anything better. You guys have been outstanding. That's why we got to keep it up, though. See, when I talk about if you guys keep helping us out, we're going to keep doing more stuff, better stuff, different stuff. We'll be getting to our new studio here in a couple weeks. And hopefully once we get that up and operational, we got all sorts of cool stuff. By the way, State House Happenings posted last night on the YouTube. We'll get it up to the Apple and Spotify this afternoon. Don't do it now. We want you to keep watching the show. But when you're done with the program, Merritt and I, Abdul will be with us eventually on State House Happenings. He's had court the last couple weeks. But we get into all sorts of if you guys aren't familiar with State House Happenings, it is a 30-minute look at the biggest stories in Indiana politics and government from the week before. It's sort of like a speed, used to have a show or a segment called the Speed Round. It's sort of like we just very quickly, 5-10 minutes, each topic, biggest stories of the week. You can sort of get a recap of the week that was. We got it in our videos section. It'll be up on Apple, be up on the Spotify. Merritt and I get into a whole bunch of things. Braun partnering with Turning Point USA, the Diego debacle with the vehicle history reports from the Secretary of State's office. We get into this dark money that's coming in the primary races, state Senate primary races. All of that available on State House Happenings. Check it out after the program today. All right, so we got to talk about more BS from Braun, and I come back to what I've been saying for a very long time. Braun writes checks with his mouth that his actions can't and won't cash. And he does this all the time. You can trust him as far as you can throw him. Braun is a liar. He's a dirty, dirty, rotten liar. And we are seeing this play out again in real time. I mean, look at how he screwed us on property taxes. I mean, how could you, with any sort of decency, have looked 1,000 people in the eye and pledged to fight for them and do what Braun did? Look at utility bills. But this specifically is dealing with the IEDC, the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. That is the shadow quasi-government entity in which the General Assembly takes money from you, gives it to this quasi-shadow government entity, and then they just give money away to businesses. And there has been article after article that have come out about how the lack of oversight, the lack of transparency, how people who are making decisions were benefiting off of those decisions, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars going out, buying ridiculous stuff with our tax money through the IEDC. And Braun espoused last year to be so concerned about it that he spent $800,000 to audit it. The audit confirmed everything the previous newspaper reports had said. There has been no meaningful change at the IEDC. He got rid of the board, put a new board in. They basically do the same stuff the old board did. And so that brought us to yesterday, where we were talking about Braun saying he's going to allow the IEDC to spend $1 billion to attract ag and life science. By the way, I feel very bad about this, promoting this guy again, because I've not been a fan of his over the years. Michael Hicks, the Ball State professor, he shredded that Braun's plan yesterday on Twitter. And he went through, as we did on our show. Look, it's like Rob and the schools agreeing. If Rob and Hicks are agreeing on stuff, you know it's bad. And we both agree this is ridiculous that Braun is claiming he's going to spend $1 billion to attract these industries. Hicks goes through on Twitter. His Twitter handle is escaping me, but if you look at Michael Hicks, he's on Twitter, Ball State professor. Braun saying he's going to send $1 billion to attract, I think he claimed 100,000 jobs. Hicks totally guts the idea that you could even attract 100,000 jobs in these industries. Like the amount of jobs have been created over time versus what Braun claims he's going to create. It's ridiculous. Point of all of this is Braun is handing $1 billion more over to a group that just last year he was so concerned about it, he spent $800,000 of our money to audit and claimed he was going to bring meaningful reform to. He's brought nothing to it. This is what Braun does. He says he's going to do something. He gets a headline for it, and then he hopes you forget about it. And then nothing changes. Which brings us to the IEDC Foundation. There are so many layers to the IEDC. And look, there have been groups who have written about this, the Indiana Capital Chronicle, Indy Star has done a bunch of great work on this. You know, somebody who's done a lot of phenomenal research on this is Indy Reporter. If you guys have not read Indy Reporter stuff, we know Indy Reporter's in the chat sometimes. We're supposed to have Indy Reporter with us next week to talk about the IEDC stuff because he has done a lot of document digging on this, and hopefully we'll be able to do that because it is bad. It is bad, and this is the latest in bad news with the IEDC. So with the IEDC, there was not only the IEDC itself, but a nonprofit foundation connected to the IEDC, a 501c3. And by the way, if you want to read anything I'm telling you, Indiana Capital Chronicle has a big article about it, indianacapitalchronicle.com. So the IEDC drew a lot of flack over the last couple of years because the IEDC's foundation, this 501c3 foundation, was garnering huge money. We don't know exactly how much. Well, we do, and I'll get to that in a second, but it's sketchy. But this was garnering huge money from, quote unquote, donors to the foundation, which was funding travel to foreign countries for elected and appointed officials. Like, remember when Holcomb went to Egypt and was on the camel in front of the pyramids? Like, that's the sort of stuff I'm talking about. The reports revealed that this is according to Capital Chronicle, from fiscal years 2019 through 2024, the foundation spent more than $13 million. About $11 million went to travel, meals, and entertainment. So you see what's happening here? The foundation, which is connected to the IEDC, which the IEDC is the actual group that gives out the money, right? So the IEDC gives out the money. The foundation, which is connected to the IEDC, which actually pays for the travel for all of this stuff. So the IEDC could say in good faith, well, with a clear conscience, no, we're not paying for the travel. It's the foundation. Well, how is the foundation funded? From big business donors. And then when you start looking at who benefits from a lot of the IEDC stuff, and you don't know exactly who it is, but we know enough, and I'll get to who we do know about, you start seeing, oh, I give to the foundation. The politicians, the elected people, the appointed people, the bureaucrats, they do all the fun stuff through the foundation. And then, wouldn't you know who's benefiting from the IEDC expenditures? A webpage for the foundation identifies the state's quote unquote big five investor-owned utilities as contributors. Well, now why? Why would a investor-owned utility contribute to the IEDC Foundation? Could it be because the government, which is the IURC in the case of the people that oversee the utilities, the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission, that they're appointed by the governor, by the way. And who controls the IEDC board? Oh, as we saw with Braun, it's the governor, because he just fired everyone and put a new board in. Or, well, fired's a strong word. Let everybody go, or moved on, shall we say. So you have the IURC, whose board is appointed by the governor, who controls rate increases, and the IEDC, whose board is also appointed and controlled by the governor, who hands out money. And so you have the more people doing business, the more megacorps, the more all of this, the more electricity they're going to use, the more power they're going to use. And wouldn't you know, major donors to the IEDC Foundation were the big five electric companies, the big five power companies. So when Braun becomes governor and does the audit, because all these red flags start coming out about, by the way, $2 million, according to the Capital Chronicle, from the foundation went to administration. Administration for what? $300,000 for, quote unquote, other spending, and $200,000 for sponsorships. Now, we'll get into this with Indy Reporter next week because he's got all the details on this. What in the world would the IEDC need to be sponsoring? It's a government entity. It gives out money. What would it need to be sponsoring? We'll tell you. We've told you before. We'll tell you again. So as part of Braun claiming to reform the IEDC, he said, we're basically going to put a stop to the foundation because clearly there were red flags. It didn't pass the smell test. People were looking at this saying, what the hell is going on here? Why are these companies sponsoring this foundation? Why are these elected and appointed officials doing all this travel? How is it that many of these people that are sponsoring the foundation end up financially benefiting from the dollars doled out by the IEDC? And so Braun came in as part of his grave concern that he expressed for the IEDC, and he claimed, we're going to wind down the foundation. We're going to stop the foundation. We're going to put an end to that foundation because I agree with you. That's a red flag. That shouldn't stand. Well, according to the Indiana Capital Chronicle, last year, the foundation, as they described it, showed no signs of shutting down. The foundation spent almost $500,000 last year. $500,000. And don't forget, last April, Capital Chronicle noted this because they're all over it. Braun had called out the foundation for not filing 6 years of required audited reports with the State Budget Committee. It's part of why the audit took place. As of November, about $290,000, according to the Capital Chronicle, was spent on events. Events! $130,000 on travel. So glad to see we're not stopping any of that, right? $70,000 on administration and $1,000 on bank fees. Now, I want to read you the quote. This is from is she the head, one of the executives with the IEDC and the foundation, which obviously is connected to the IEDC. I believe this is one of the executives from the IEDC. Quote, these investments, talking about the foundation spending, these investments enable Indiana to participate in major conferences and engagements that elevate the state's visibility, attract investments, and deepen relationships across key industries. Let me tell you what they're saying there. This foundation pays for our officials, elected and appointed, to go to foreign countries and cut deals with foreign businesses, who then, as we have seen, data irrefutable, come to this country, get massive tax incentives from us. So they take money from us, give it to these mega foreign corps to come into our country. And who do they hire? Foreign workers. That's what this person is talking about. That's the plain English of what she's trying to say. And once again, Braun comes out and peddles BS about how concerned he is about the foundation, and then the foundation spent $500,000 again last year. It never changes. And by the way, once again, multiple news outlets covering this. Not like it was some super secret investigation. Braun was at the board meeting yesterday. He was chairing the board meeting of the IEDC. That's how all this came out. Where is the lieutenant governor, Micah Beckwith, who ran against the IEDC, who ran on making changes, on gutting, on stopping the IEDC? Not a word other than he's fully supportive, it appears, of Braun's plan to spend $1 billion to the IEDC, and now not a word on this. This is why I got that message from that conservative activist I talked about to start the show, saying, what do we do? I said, you can't do anything other than watch the Rob Kendall Show and get mad and activate. These politicians are rotten. They're liars. They lie. They tell you what they think. That's what a con man does. Somebody told me this. This has been a while ago. A reporter told me this. So I was talking about a bunch of these people, and the reporter who's covered these people for years and years and years. And I won't name the person because it was an offline conversation. But they said this. They said any con man is great at figuring out. Any good con man is great at figuring out what do you need to hear, and then making you believe they can deliver it. That's what our politicians are. It's what Braun is. It's what Beckwith is. It's what Diego is. And they got me. And none of these guys. I hate all these people. What did I want to hear? I wanted to hear that property taxes were going to get fixed. I wanted to hear that we were going to stop seeing people get evicted from their homes because they couldn't pay their property taxes. Those guys never had any intention to do anything with that. That's why they did what they did, and then they've done nothing, despite telling a group of conservative activists last year, according to them, that Braun said he had an ace up his sleeve. Beckwith and Braun said, we're coming back for more next year. Well, next year's come and gone. What'd they come back for? Nothing. Con men, good con men, are great at figuring out what you need to hear and then making you believe they can deliver it, that they will deliver it. That's the politicians. That's almost all of these people. How many times the campaign pledges, the promises, we'll do this, we'll do that, vote for me. Do they deliver? I asked somebody this yesterday, a member of the media. I said, in the case of Lieutenant Governor, how do you run vocally on something in the case of the IEDC? One of the reasons people liked Micah Beckwith is he was saying things that other people in state government wouldn't say, which is that the IEDC is a horribly run organization. It's rotten. And people are like, okay, this guy's finally saying the thing. Great. Maybe we can count on him to at least be a vocal critic of it. Nothing. He's in full support now of $1 billion more going to the same BS that it went to before. And it'll probably have the same BS result. And now this foundation is spending $500,000, and there's not a word pushback from any of these people in state government. Any of them. Any of them. This is why and this is what the politicians could never figure out, whether it was on the radio or now here. This is why our show's popular. This is why our show is growing like gangbusters. This is why we are doing well and will continue to do well. Because we actually fight for you. Think if the politicians did that. Think if they actually held true to their word and did the things that they promised to do, how popular they could be. We don't have any power here. We have no power whatsoever. We have no ability to make people do anything. Think if the people who actually had a say were willing to step up and fight, how much better off we would all be. Let me tell you about my friends at Vent Savvy. Let me ask you guys something. When you take a hot shower, does your mirror stay fogged up for 10 or 15 minutes? It's not supposed to. If it does, your bathroom fan isn't doing its job. And that moisture doesn't just disappear. It gets trapped in your walls, your ceiling, even your attic. Over time, that can mean mold, insulation damage, and expensive repairs most homeowners never see coming. You should call Vent Savvy. They specialize in upgrading bathroom exhaust fans the right way, properly sized, properly vented. And listen to this deal with Vent Savvy. Just go to ventsavvy.com, VENTSAVVY.com, and tell them I heard about you on Rob's show. We got a little contact bar there. Fill that out. Say I heard about you on Rob's show. John, the owner, he's coming to your house free of charge. He's going to get in your attic, take a look around, see if you got any mold, anything going on up there. If there's nothing, he'll come down and he'll say, hey, you're fine. You're good. If there's something, he's going to have you take a look at it. Then you can decide how to proceed. You got nothing to lose with this, everything to gain. That's because John is a Hoosier through and through. He cares about Hoosiers. He loves our show. He's a big supporter of us. So call Vent Savvy today, 317-300-4434. 317-300-4434, or go to ventsavvy.com, VENTSAVVY.com. Tell him you heard about him on Rob's show, that free attic inspection, and he'll take care of you. Okay, big day for sports, right? I'm amazed anybody's even watching the show. This is why we had to get done by noon, because the NCAA tournament starts today. It's one of the biggest couple of sporting days of the year, the first days of the NCAA tournament. And our next guest, Kenny Britt of Britt's Picks, going to be with us to talk about how you might be able to have a little more fun with the NCAA tournament than just filling out your brackets. We'll tell you about that next. You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
Your bathroom fan could be secretly costing you thousands of dollars in damages. Most people don't even know this until the damage is done. With over 18 years of bathroom remodeling experience, here are 3 signs your fan is failing you without spending a dime on inspections. Sign number 1 is if you have foggy mirrors after you shower. This shows that your fan isn't pulling out enough moisture, which creates the perfect environment for mold. If you have a properly functioning bathroom fan that is the right size for your space, you shouldn't see much fogginess on your bathroom mirror at all. Sign number 2 is if you have bubbling, cracking, or peeling paint in your bathroom. This means moisture is soaking into your walls, slowly breaking down drywall, and even causing the wood framing behind it to rot. Sign number 3 is if you have mold buildup on your fan, ceilings, or walls. This is terrible for your health, but also could wreck your bathroom, costing you a fortune. If you're noticing any of these signs, here's what you can do.
Call Vent Savvy today at 317-300-4434. That's 317-300-4434, and mention Rob for a free attic inspection. Hey guys, it's Rob Kendall. Thanks so much for checking out the Rob Kendall Show. And remember, please like, share, and subscribe, and tell your friends about us. If you own a business or you're in charge of making decisions for your business, we'd love to get to know you. We'd love to learn more about what you do and how here at the Rob Kendall Show, we can help you get your word out to a very loyal group of people. Because, that's what we have with viewers on the Rob Kendall Show, a really loyal group of people. Send us an email, sales@robkendallshow.com, sales@robkendallshow.com. And I look forward to getting back in touch with you to learn more about your business and how the Rob Kendall Show can help you grow. Hey guys, welcome back. Rob Kendall Show. Don't forget the website, robkendallshow.com, on Twitter at Rob M. Kendall. It is one of the biggest days in all of sports, one of the biggest weekends, in fact, in all of sports. It's the beginning of the NCAA tournament, and we said there's got to be a way to make a few bucks potentially out there with that. But we don't know. I don't know. We got to bring in a pro. Luckily, we got a guy. Sports handicapper extraordinaire. Britt's Picks is where you can find him on Facebook. The great Kenny Britt. Hello.
Thanks for having me, Rob. I enjoy being here.
Now, you do this like full time. This is, I mean, you've got a job, but this job that you have may not be as important as this job, which is betting on sports.
Well, I don't know about that. I build military engines, so, you know.
Are you thinking about when you're building the military engine? Are you thinking about who you're going to bet on each night? Or are you focused on building the military engine?
I stay focused, but I don't get much sleep. I sleep about 4 hours a night.
You live this stuff.
I do. It's a passion. This isn't something I need to do to survive. It's just a passion. I love doing it.
So we said, let's have some fun. Obviously, NCAA tournament starting, a massive, massive deal. People taking off work, doing their stuff. Tournament getting ready to begin here in just a little bit. And so Kenny's kind enough. He's put together some fun ways you can bet the tournament on the whole thing, on games coming up Thursday evening, Friday, all day Friday. Yeah. Let's get right into it. Look, I freely admit, you know, I'm a golf guy, not a basketball guy. I'll be watching the games this week, but I said, okay, I'm going to take two of the longer shots, not the, no chance people, but I put a couple coins on Purdue at 22-1, and I got St. John's at 60-1 because I love Rick Pitino.
Okay.
Do I have any chance of cashing either of those?
You've got a chance.
A puncher's chance.
A puncher's chance.
Yeah.
Last year we had all four number one seeds make the Final Four. It looks like that could happen again this year.
Really?
It really does.
Are they that much better?
I think there's 5 teams that are that much better if you put in Iowa State.
Yeah.
I think those 5 are just a little bit better than everybody else.
So that's Duke, Florida, Arizona, Iowa State,
Michigan.
And Michigan.
Yeah, and Michigan, right.
So those are your 6 that you say, hey, if you're
5,
or I'm
5,
sorry, 5.
yeah.
If you're playing for keeps, those are the 5 you'd be looking at.
I would think so. And as I discussed on another show the other day, betting and doing your bracket are 2 totally different things. So,
explain that to us.
Because when you do your bracket, you're going to try to get some upsets in there,
right?
But you're not, your hard-earned money that you earn every day, you're not going to bet on that particular team a lot of times,
right?
So it's night and day between betting and filling out a bracket, night and day.
Kenny Britt is our guest. You can find him Britt's Picks on Facebook, and. So, like, how big of a deal is this for you in the betting world? Where does the NCAA tournament rank?
Well, since I was 12 years old, my mom used to write me notes to get me out of school. I've taken a 4-day weekend every weekend since for 45 years. And so it's big. It coincides, March Madness coincides with 2 different things. Snow in Indiana.
That's right.
And vasectomies. And 26 years ago to this day, I was sitting in a recliner with a bag of peas. And but it's a pretty big deal. So I'll be all 4 days. I'll be
well, without giving away the farm, because you do this for a living and you want people to visit Britt's Picks over on Facebook. Can you give us, if you narrow it down, a couple teams you say, I'd really look at those teams if I were to pick one team to win it all, and kind of what those odds look like?
Again, I think the 4 number 1 seeds or the chalks, but I'm
it's like taking Scotty Scheffler in golf, Kenny.
Exactly. You got to try to fade him. So that's what I've done in my bracket. I've got Iowa State winning it all.
Okay.
Now, by any stretch, that's not a long shot.
There are 2.
Okay. So it's not like that's a long shot.
Yeah.
But I've got Iowa State winning it over Arizona in the final game. Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about kind of how people may bet the first couple days, because let's face it, you may know your team. Maybe if you're a fan of Big Ten basketball, you know some of the other teams, but they're playing these schools. You have no idea who any of them are. How do you go about even beginning to potentially bet these early round games?
That's where handicapping comes in. We literally look at every single game that's being played. And
Purdue's playing Queens. What do you know about Queens, Kenny Britt?
Actually, a little bit. This is their first year, Division I. first year eligible to make the tournament,
And they won their conference.
and here they are. So that's the kind of Cinderella stuff we love.
Do you have game film on Queens? Like, how do you, because the spread was what, 24.5 points, I think. Purdue's a favorite. That, by the way, that game is what it's is it Friday?
I think it's a Friday.
Friday 7. St. John's and Purdue play at the same time, so I'm going to be cheering at the same time. But like, how do you even know, like, what do you learn about Queens? How do you learn about them? What does a handicapper do?
Well, I will admit that team I've never watched play.
Yeah.
I'll admit that. But you look at who they played, the competition, the conference they're in, a lot of preseason, a lot of times preseason games, these lesser schools will play, like a Duke or somebody.
Sure.
Will pay them tens of thousands of dollars, if not more, to come and get pummeled.
Yeah.
So you kind of look at how they stand up against other teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give us a couple games you're looking at. You're, as a pro, Thursday evening, Friday, as our audience will be able to consume. Oh, you brought notes.
Yeah, I got a little cheat sheet.
Yeah, excellent. Who are you looking at?
I want to give 2 games on Thursday night
Okay.
that I really like. I like VCU getting 3.5.
Who are they playing?
Oh,
You gotta go to your bracket.
Yeah, I got so many
all
things.
that matters for our audience is that VCU's getting 3.5.
Right. That's all we really need to know. I can't see without my glasses.
All right,
on,
VCU getting 3.5.
Yeah.
All right.
And then Texas A&M getting 4.5.
Okay, Texas A&M getting 4.5. VCU getting 3.5.
Yeah. And another thing to remember, these, like you well know, these lines change
Absolutely.
constantly.
Mm-hmm.
So but they will be underdogs and getting some points.
Do you tend to, or is it just sort of a hodgepodge, go with underdogs? Like, to me, I always thought betting the underdog, of all things were equal, I would do that because there's a million different ways. Like with football, if your team's getting 8 points, there's a million different ways you can still lose that game and not lose by 8 points.
Right.
And you're always sort of in the game versus if you're a favorite and your team goes, down 7 points. Hey, you're going to have a really hard time getting to that. I always kind of like the underdogs, but you're the pro. What say you?
Well, we have a group text and we talk about that a lot. If you bet the underdog, you're probably going to win 51% of the time.
Yeah.
It's that even, and that's
really
year over year.
Really?
Yeah. So you're not going to make any money.
Are you ever amazed at how good the odds makers actually are?
It's unbelievable how many times there's a half a point or 1 point or 1.5 points. I mean, we sit and cry about it all the time.
But it's literally like, you'll
Literally.
say, you'll maybe have, for those, over under the amount of points scored in a game, and you'll have an over under of 52.5 points, and it ends up 52 or 53, and you'll just go, how do they know that?
And a lot of times it happens like on a missed extra point.
Yeah.
Or it's almost like they didn't know.
Yeah.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, every day in sports betting that happens: basketball, football, baseball.
Kenny Britt's Picks with us. You can find him on Facebook, Britt's Picks, giving us a couple of his plays that he kind of likes for Thursday evening. Friday, you got something for us for Friday?
I'm going to give you my long shot to win, at least to get to the Sweet 16.
Okay.
If you want to put,
can you bet on that? Can you say so-and-so will make it to the Sweet 16?
Sure can.
Okay.
This team is plus 2,000 on DraftKings.
What does that mean? That means what? Is that 20?
$10 would get you back 200.
Wow.
Yes,
Okay, so that is just to get to the Sweet 16.
Just to get to the Sweet 16.
Okay, very good.
Let me give you the road trip for them.
Okay.
We're talking about Akron. They're plus 7.5 in their game on Friday playing Texas Tech.
So they're getting, but you're saying you think they'll win the game.
Texas Tech lost one of the best players in the country 6 games ago. They're 3-3 since, but they're 0-3 the last 3 games. Okay.
So if you're feeling especially generous or risky, you could bet on Akron. They'd have to win 2 games to get to the Sweet 16. Right. They'll be underdogs probably in both of those games, but you think Akron's pretty good.
I do. They won the MAC, which isn't a great conference.
They beat Miami.
But Miami was 31-0.
Yeah.
And they won that conference. But in the second round, if they were to get past Texas Tech, they play Alabama.
Okay.
We know what happened with their star player.
He's in some trouble.
He's in a little bit of trouble, and he's officially off the team now.
And that's why you're a professional.
A couple pounds of pot in his dorm room. So he's gone.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay. So you like Akron potentially to surprise everybody and go to Sweet 16?
I think they got a great chance. I really do.
All right. Before we let you go, they have little fun bets. They're called props. Is that right?
Yeah.
Anything that stand out to you in the NCAA tournament that you're like, that might be a fun bet? Like you'll see this in the Super Bowl. A prop bet might be so-and-so will get more than 39 rushing yards, and then you bet for that person the whole, or you cheer for that person the whole game. Sports betting, by the way, and I tell people this all the time. You know me, I'm the king of the $1 bet, Kenny. It just makes it fun to me. It gives me somebody to cheer for and against. You can take a game you don't care at all about, and it gives you a hero and a villain. You got any little fun bets that you think people might want to?
First of all, your dollar on IU paid pretty handsomely, didn't it?
That's right.
So a dollar makes a difference.
That's right. Yeah. But almost did it with the Pacers all the way to the NBA. One game away at 125 to 1 on a $1 bet.
A $1 bet. I mean, that's what you call value, folks.
That's right.
That's what you call.
That's right.
What I did on the props is I just, like I did with Akron, I didn't really do anything besides that. Just a couple teams to get to the Sweet 16 that are long odds. This is, again, betting, and your bracket is different.
Right.
You're not going to necessarily play these teams in your bracket, but they might have a chance. So Akron at plus 2,000, I love that.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good bet. A couple other ones, Texas A&M plus 1,100.
So that would pay you for every $1 you bet, you get 11 back.
Get $11.
That's just to get to the Sweet 16.
That's just winning 2 games.
Okay.
And my other long shot would be Miami of Florida plus 500.
So that's 5 to 1?
Yeah.
For every dollar you bet, you get 5 back.
That's right.
All right, man. Even if you don't watch basketball, everybody loves the NCAA tournament.
Right.
It's just outstanding.
You fill out the brackets.
Yeah. Britt's Picks on Facebook. That's where you can find him. The great Kenny Britt. Thank you as always, my friend.
I better see you on a ballot in about 5 years.
$10 million. That's all I need, buddy. All right, you're watching Rob Kendall Show.
Buying a home or thinking about refinancing? Work with someone local who understands the central Indiana market. Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage helps homebuyers and homeowners explore options for purchasing, refinancing, or even consolidating higher interest debt through their mortgage. Gary's approach is simple, clear advice, and personalized guidance, so you can make confident decisions. Visit loansbygary.homes to learn more or get started today. You've got nothing to lose but dollars on your mortgage payment. So call for a free, no-obligation quote, 317-695-5179. Gary Tedrow, NMLS number 179207 with Verity Mortgage, NMLS number 70345, an equal housing opportunity lender.
Are you seeing cracks in mortar, moisture working through walls, facade or structural failure beginning to surface? Bramwell Mackay sets the standard for exterior and structural building solutions. Our 40-year master masons and industry experts address moisture intrusion, failing foundations, masonry deterioration, and more. From preserving historic landmarks to addressing modern building envelope issues, Bramwell Mackay delivers full-spectrum service with white-glove professionalism. In Indianapolis, call 812-33-BRICK. 812-33-BRICK.
Are you a Clay County resident who is ready to be part of creating a brighter future for our citizens? Doug Cobb is running for county commissioner and will bring fresh perspective to the table. A local farm and business owner, he has skin in the game of our county's success. He knows that a great team can accomplish so much more than any one of us alone and is ready to create a brighter future for Clay County together. The committee to elect Doug Cobb approves this ad. Paid for by Linda Cheatham.
Hey guys, welcome back. Rob Kendall Show. Thanks for, you guys are just responding. You guys are awesome. Subscribers are up today. I see that. If you haven't, hit that little thumbs up button there on the YouTube feed. That helps us out so much as well. And again, subscribe if you haven't. Rob Kendall Show there on YouTube. Obviously, you're watching us right now. You know that. But if you're one of these people, one of the fine people that are listening to us each day via the podcasting method, the Apples, the Spotifys, all those places, just give us a quick subscribe there on YouTube. That helps us out immensely. And share the feed. Wherever you're hearing us from, share the feed. And again, if you are a person who's like, man, I love these guys, I love what they do. I don't own a business. I don't run a business, but I just love to support the show. We have a support button up, robkendallshow.com, $1, $2, $2 bill, whatever it is. We appreciate it. support button, robkendallshow.com. Before we have an update, and it gets more bizarre by the day, on this state Senate race, the state Senate primary out near Terre Haute. And it's in court now, and there's all of these challenges. And so we'll tell you the latest on that. I want to tell you about my friends at Bramwell Mackay. Leaky chimney, water in the basement, cracks around the exterior of your home. Bramwell Mackay Property Services and Consultants is your authority for chimney repair, tuck pointing, foundation repair, crawl space to basement conversions, basement waterproofing, and more. Bramwell Mackay doesn't offer quick patches. Their team of 40-year master masons and industry experts address the root cause and provide solutions that last lifetimes. Your home is one of your biggest investments. Treat it that way. Bramwell Mackay, BRAMWELLMCKAY.com, your masonry, foundation, and chimney specialist. Guys, one other thing you can do for us, and I can't stress this enough, and you guys always deliver when we ask you to do something. Our three main sponsors that we have right now, we've got more coming on next week. We think you're going to love those guys. But right now, Bramwell Mackay, Gary Tedrow, our mortgage guy, and Vint Savvy. Please contact them. We give you their contact information. It takes 2 seconds. That helps us out so much. Look, people are blown away at the easy terms we have with our people that are supporting our show. We don't lock them in long term, any of that stuff, because they're all listeners. They're all friends. We want them to be comfortable in any deal they're doing with us to help us be able to keep the lights on, stay on the air, have a nice place to do the show. We appreciate them. And so really their continued support, and they love us, they love us and what we do, but they're not running soup kitchens. They're businesses trying to exist in a capitalist society. Their continued support of us depends on hearing from you. And so we really need you, even if you don't need these services in the moment, to contact these sponsors when you hear their contact information. Even if you don't need them right now, they know, and then it resonates with them when you say, "Hey, I heard your announcement. I heard your advertisement." So all of those people, please just reach out to them, thank them, the phone call, the email, whatever it is, the online contact form. That takes 2 seconds, and man, I'm going to tell you, that will help us immensely as we grow this show, keeping these fine local businesses, which is what they are, in the fold with us, and getting more local businesses on board, which I know producer Jason is keeping track. That could impact whether we're able to do a third hour. We got your comments there in the YouTube feed about if we look. Again, let me be as specific as I can be. I'm not signing myself up for a third hour, but several of you had reached out about would we be willing to do it under the right terms, and I said maybe. And so we asked the question. You could comment in the YouTube chat if we were to do a third hour because of how successful the show has been so far. Would you prefer that be a 9 until 10, or would you prefer to be at noon to 1? And so we would like to hear from you, but please don't think tomorrow we're going to show up with a third hour. We're planning, a little pre-planning around here. All right, let's talk about the latest about what's going on with this Terre Haute Senate race. This is so ridiculous. So just a very quick reminder, Greg Good is the incumbent senator. He voted against redistricting, the Republican. Trump got mad, organized with groups like Turning Point USA. They finally found a challenger. Now, it took them a long time. I've talked about before. I know at least one person who was asked who thought it was hysterical because he would have been kicked off the ballot because not only had he not voted in enough consecutive Republican primaries, he doesn't even really vote. And he was like, man, these guys must not be doing their research. They were begging this guy to run, by the way. So Brenda Wilson was a choice after this guy. She is a Vigo County councilman. That's the Terre Haute area. By the way, this Senate district is Vigo, Clay, and Sullivan counties. And so Brenda Wilson sort of becomes the Trump chosen challenger. Then along the way, a woman by the name of Alexandra Wilson gets in the race, and don't know for sure why she got in. That's up to her to explain. But there are people out there who said, well, this is the people who are supporting Brenda Wilson said, this is shenanigans. This is a woman with the same last name, and their goal is just to confuse the voters. And then an attorney by the name of Jim Bopp, very well-known, prominent attorney, is argued in front of the Supreme Court, conservative activist, supporter of the president, supporter of the governor, came out and said, well, I don't think Alexandra Wilson's even eligible to run because I think she was convicted of a felony, which in the state of Indiana can't run for public office if you've been convicted of a felony. Wilson's response through his attorney was, no. I think she was charged with the felony. However, she ultimately pled guilty to a misdemeanor, which would mean she's fine to vote. It was a discretion when she was younger, by all accounts, not out robbing banks now or anything like that. But she claims, no, I pled guilty to a misdemeanor, which would make me eligible. This case went in front of the state election board. The election board split in their ruling, both Democrats saying it was a misdemeanor, she was eligible, both Republicans saying essentially it was a felony, she's ineligible. And so Jim Bopp was not happy with that answer. Now the case has gone to court in Clay County. The attorneys for Wilson asked for a change of judge, change of venue. They wanted a different judge, which is their right. They can do that. However, before the judge recused himself, and the Indiana Capitol Chronicle has the article about this, he ruled yesterday, Judge David Thomas was the guy's name, and he directed the county clerks in Vigo, Clay, and Sullivan counties to, quote, immediately cease sending, mailing, or otherwise distributing absentee ballots to the people of Senate District 38. Now, by law, under state law, county election offices must start mailing requested absentee ballots on Monday, so this coming Monday, ahead of the primary, which is May the 5th. Guys, this is complete chaos now. Complete chaos. Because that makes sense. You got to get the ballot, got to get mailed to you, you got to get it, got to make sure you get it, got to fill it out, got to send it back. You want it to be there before May 5th. And now this judge has said, well, I'm not ruling on the merits of the case, but I am saying don't send out the mail-in ballots until the case gets resolved. The quote from the Indiana Capitol Chronicle, I believe, was there in person. The judge said, quote, let's just stop. We're in a minefield. Let's not walk forward. Now, the judge, what was interesting about this, the judge, according to the Capitol Chronicle, and the injunction is what it's called. He granted an injunction, which is what Bopp was requesting, allowed both sides to issue proposed language for the injunction before he issued it. And he said to himself at the time, now this may have already come down because this was yesterday, and he was supposed to rule either late last night or early today with the injunction itself. He's not even sure whether the injunction should be open-ended or have a deadline attached to it. Because the defendants, in this case, Alexandra Wilson, her attorney, said, wait a second, Judge, this could take weeks before a judge even takes this case. You can't have people not getting their absentee ballots for weeks. So now what we have is mail-in ballots not going out, at least as of the writing of the Indiana Capitol Chronicle's report. We'll try to update you once we get it. The judge saying, I don't even know if this is an open-ended ruling. This isn't even or if there'll be a deadline on this. This isn't even the judge that's going to hear the case. They don't even know who the judge is going to be who's going to hear the case or where or when that's going to be. And people are supposed to be voting very soon. I mean, we're going to be entering into the territory of people in-person early voting if they don't get a conclusion to this very quick. Look, this should be pretty simple to me. And I've asked numerous people about this, and nobody can give me a straight answer. It should be pretty easy to know whether someone has been convicted of a felony or not. Like, why is this taking so long? Either there has to be court records. You enter a guilty plea. The judge, legal experts can correct me if I'm wrong on this or not. The judge is supposed to repeat the charges back to you when you plead guilty that you're pleading to make sure you understand the charges. You confirm you understand the charges once they're read back to you. And then you plead guilty. Like there was a judge. If the judge is still with us, shouldn't the judge be? I mean, this just seems like they're making such a mess out of this, and it should be so easy. Now, I talked to somebody yesterday who lives in the district, and this person is astute to what's going on. And I asked them, I said, tell me about Brenda Wilson and whether she has a chance. So Brenda Wilson is the person recruited by Turning Point USA, by Trump, etc. And this person said, people are seeing through Brenda Wilson, one, because she's a commissioner in Vigo County. Vigo County's a dumpster fire. It's Terre Haute. There's no one would look to Vigo County as some sort of, epicenter of great governance. So she can't run on that. There's drama right now. The county government couldn't even fund the warming center for the homeless people. Did you guys hear about this? We're supposed to have the mayor of Terre Haute, Sackbun is his name. He's going to be coming on with us, I think, in April. And I'll talk to him about this. This is a fascinating story. The city of Terre Haute wanted to fund this warming center, a place for homeless people to go when it's freezing cold outside so they don't get sick or potentially perish or whatever. Pretty standard function of government. And now there's that. Even that has turned into a complete dumpster fire because the county government is not apparently, allegedly, properly paying the city their portion of funding the warming center for the homeless people. This is the county government that Brenda Wilson helps oversee. Anyway, I asked this person, I said, okay, so does this woman have a chance? And they said, no, because she doesn't stand for anything. The people who are in the know aren't buying it because all she's running on is, I'm here to help Trump. And people are asking, and rightfully so, what does that even mean? Indiana does 95% or more of the stuff that Trump wants. What, are you going to be more pro-Trump? What does that mean? Because redistricting is not an issue. You can't run on redistricting effectively because it's not coming up again. It's already been decided. Trump will no longer be affected by redistricting. Whoever the House of Representatives is in 2027 is the last House of Representatives he will deal with. It's a non-issue. It is a non-issue. And she's seen as unserious. And this person actually let me take this with me. Well, I talked to them the other day. Many of you know that I have my family is from Terre Haute, so I know a lot of people over in Terre Haute. And then people are like, how does he get so much information about Terre Haute? My family, until me, were basically Terre Haute lifers, and so I know a lot of people in Terre Haute, and so I have a lot of friends over there. This person gave me this mailer, and it is a mailer from, it's a third party, Club for Growth Action, paid for this mailer, and it really gets to the heart of how unserious the people of the area view Brenda Wilson and this whole thing. And again, this is not an endorsement of Greg Good. Greg Good's made a lot of votes I don't agree with. I'm not saying this to tell people to vote for Greg Good. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying this is and these are the people that are being recruited and how unserious this whole thing is. So this ad is for Club for Growth. It's a third party, and it's for Brenda Wilson. Okay? What they did was they put the tweet up that Trump made. Maybe it was a truth. Yeah, maybe a truth. Truth tweet, whatever. Doesn't matter. Whatever forum Trump is on. Endorsing Brenda Wilson. The problem is Trump knows so little about this woman. He got her office wrong. He's telling you why to vote for her, and he couldn't even get her office right, which means Trump knows nothing about these people. Nothing. I had asked, I believe it was Paula Copenhaver. She's running against Spencer Deary in Lafayette. And she's one of the people that got to go to the White House. And she was, boasting about this, bragging about this, because this is all these people are campaigning on is Trump supports us. And I asked her, I said, Paula, if you walked in front of Trump right now, would he know your name? And of course the answer was no. He wouldn't. He'd have no idea who she was. And that is the ridiculousness of all of this. So in this mailer, Trump writes, Brenda Wilson, on the other hand, is a successful family farmer and highly respected Vigo County Commissioner. She's not even a Vigo County Commissioner. And Club for Growth used this as their ad supporting Brenda Wilson because in terms of her actual record, because the county she oversees is a dumpster fire of bad governance, there's nothing they can talk about with her. There's nothing. There's nothing you'd point to and go, wow, Vigo County killed it on fill in the blank. There's nothing. Terre Haute is a disaster. And so this is the campaign they're running. Not on records, not on what this woman's going to do when she gets in there, which is fight for you. Not on here's her big ideas to make your life better. It's, well, Trump supported some woman he couldn't even get the office right. The prosecution rests, Your Honor. Nothing's going to change no matter who gets in there. And look, I wouldn't shed any tears if Greg Good goes. How about that? Greg Good goes. Try saying that 5 times fast. Because I don't think he's done a great job as a senator. I think you see the policies, and I think Indiana's getting worse. But my gosh, it is utterly ridiculous to think your life is going to get any better if these people who won't stand for anything, who won't come out and take any hard positions, are just running the Trump is my friend, Trump likes me. But then Trump is so unserious about it, he can't even get the office right. All right. Several things to get to here. Let's talk about this for a second, shall we? So a data center was approved yesterday in Marion County. For those of you watching outside of central Indiana, Marion County, Indianapolis. Most of you know that, but just we have people over the state. Those who may not, Marion County, Indianapolis. And you may say to yourself, Rob, you spend a lot of time on data centers. Yes, I do. Why? Because number one, you guys are super interested in them. It is one of the key issues facing communities in Indianapolis, in central Indiana, across our state today. So basically, wherever you're hearing us from or watching us from, you are going to be impacted by this. That's the first thing. The second thing is it shows you how little policy there actually is on these things. And when there is no policy, when there is no framework, when there is no consensus, how bad things can actually get. And I think until there is a consensus by our state, first of all, our state, and then the communities on how to deal with, because look, each community is going to be different. And I thought Michael Hicks in his column the other day for Indy Star, which we talked about, was spot on. Counties should have the right to decide whether these data centers exist or not. But we've got to get some sort of consensus as a public, as a people, as a state on what do we want to be and how do we want data centers to fit in? Because until you do, it's just going to keep being the Wild West and people are going to keep being outraged. And government is not helping the situation right now. So the Indianapolis Metropolitan Development Commission, most communities, smaller communities have what are called planning commissions. They make decisions on land use. In Indianapolis, it's called the Metropolitan Development Commission. They approved a plan to construct a 900,000 square foot data center along Kentucky Avenue and Canby Road in southwest Decatur Township. Now, again, to give you some perspective, I read a thing where I think most Walmarts are 175,000 square feet. So you're talking like this is the size of 4 Walmarts, to give you some perspective on a little bit more, in fact, than the size of 4 Walmarts, 4.5 Walmarts of what we're talking about in terms of size. Now, what happened here is normally planning commissions, or in this case, the Metropolitan Development Commission, has to make a referral to the governing body, which in this case would be the city council. It could be your town council, however your government is structured. However, in this case, this Metropolitan Development Commission got to be the final word because the data center people found a plot of land that was already zoned accordingly and took advantage of that so they don't have to get a rezone. So what happens when these data centers come into these farm fields, and this is a chance for us to try to hopefully educate you a little bit on how it works. Most of the time, they need such broad swaths of land that it's a farm field or a unused field. And that land is usually, not always, but usually zoned what they call agriculture or ag. And that zoning is for land use purposes. So you have a big farm field. It makes sense you'd be doing agriculture production. It's zoned as ag. The data centers usually need these things zoned to some level of high intensity, what they call industrial. Usually I2 or I think I1. No, I3. I can't remember. Anyway, there's various levels of industrial zoning, and they need the change in zoning to be able to do that on that property. So on the ag, you can't do that. You can farm on ag. You can do agriculture-related things on ag. A data center is obviously not agriculture, and so as such, you need the governing body to approve the zoning change. And this makes sense. You want it to be hard to get zoning changes because you as a property owner want some level of assurance that you have certain rights and privileges wherever you're doing whatever you're doing. So if you're a homeowner, you want to make sure, hey, they can't build a nuclear power plant next to my house, right? And you're protected by that from zoning restrictions, zoning regulations. Whatever neighborhood you live in, there are zoning codes and rules to that which protect you. Same thing goes with agriculture, right? If you live near an agriculture base, chances aren't spread out enough that what somebody does on their land next to you in terms of ag isn't going to affect you. However, if that zoning goes from ag to high intensity industrial, it could affect a lot of people. So there are numerous layers to get a zoning change approved, and they involve public hearings, the public having an ability to speak, talk about ramifications, et cetera, et cetera. In this case, though, because the land had already been zoned I2 in anticipation of retail space and warehouses, the data center people were like, hey, jackpot. This is already zoned. We can eliminate one layer of government the final boss, if you will, which is the town or city council. And we don't have to get a zoning request. All we got to do is get essentially the site plan, the land use, et cetera, through this Metropolitan Development Commission, and we're home free. And that's what happened. Now, usually these planning commissions, these Metropolitan Development Commissions, they are supposed to be unemotional about everything. They're not supposed to see or hear anything other than reading what is written on the paper in terms of the zoning codes. Your elected officials, which your town or city councils are, or your county councils or county commissioners, they're elected officials. They can be voted out. They're supposed to hear you. That's why there's supposed to be multiple layers to this zoning process. And it happens all the time where these planning commissions or Metropolitan Development Commission in this case, they look at things just totally analytically. They look at things totally from the words on the paper. What does this say about how this land is supposed to be used? Does the data center itself in this case qualify? It was I2, industrial, mid-level industrial. Does it qualify? The answer is yes. Boom. Okay, they're in. The elected officials are supposed to hear the drama, hear the screams, hear the shouts. And in this case, they didn't exist because the data center people were smart and found I2. Look, one thing I will say about the data center, and by the way, Fox 59 has a big article about this. Saby is the name of the company that is going to be doing the data center. Now, that doesn't mean anything to you, but Saby, and this is what does matter, previously indicated that facilities will use a closed-loop cooling system that will feature 1 million gallons of water. So basically what that means is they have to get the first million. I'm simplifying a very complex thing because some engineer is going to hear this and go, no. But guys, I'm trying to take something complicated and simplify it. What basically that means is Saby is going to need 1 million gallons of water to get started, and then it will just keep recycling that water through. Now, they did say an additional 200 to 300,000 gallons of water would also be needed every year when operations get underway, and that's a natural process. Now, you hear that and you go, well, 1 million gallons sounds like a lot of water. It is, but not in the grand comparison of saying what LEAP is asking, which is 25 million gallons of water daily from Eagle Creek being pumped to Lebanon. Like, in the grand scheme of things, Eli Lilly, Meta, look at the amount of water they're asking to be pumped across central Indiana. And these Saby people are like, look, all we need is 1 million to start. We'll take care of the rest of it ourselves. Every year we're going to need 200,000 to 300,000 gallons. It's a lot of water, but not in the grand scheme of things. And this is where I come back to, and we talked about this yesterday. Not every data center is the same. They don't do the same stuff. They don't take the same amount of resources. They don't need the same amount of land. And so we have to, as a state, start educating people, because that doesn't sound like all that bad of a deal to me. Now, the people of the area are outraged. I don't know the area intimately or know the intricacies of the area, so I can't speak to that. I'm not saying, hey, this is a great plan, because they're also asking, Saby's asking for tax incentives, et cetera. But what I'm saying is things like this in which the development itself becomes self-sufficient, that is much less of an ask than these megacorps that are asking for continuous, never-ending ability to pump water to their development. And this is where our state has to get some sort of framework with public input, with local government input, to be able to say, okay, if you are a data center and you need these vast resources, here are the requirements to even enter the conversation. Because 1 million with 200,000 or 300,000 every year is a lot different ask than the 25 million plus on a regular basis they're talking about pumping from Eagle Creek. The state has got to get ahead of this. The state has got to start setting parameters, and then the local governments have got to have some sort of ability to have buy-in and ability to influence whatever those regulations actually are. Until we get this, we're going to keep having people that are pissed off. We're going to keep having fights. We're going to keep having drama. It's not going to get any better. Data centers can is the key word, be a huge ally to the state of Indiana. But we've got to set the parameters that work for the people. All right, let's take another break. When we come back, producer Jason going to read his favorite YouTube comments of the day, plus diesel hitting $5 a gallon in central Indiana. What does that mean to our local economy? We'll talk about all that and more when we come back. You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
Buying a home or thinking about refinancing? Work with someone local who understands the central Indiana market. Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage helps homebuyers and homeowners explore options for purchasing, refinancing, or even consolidating higher interest debt through their mortgage. Gary's approach is simple, clear advice, and personalized guidance so you can make confident decisions. Visit loansbygary.homes to learn more or get started today. You've got nothing to lose but dollars on your mortgage payment. So call for a free, no obligation quote, 317-695-5179. Gary Tedrow, NMLS number 179207 with Verity Mortgage, NMLS number 70345, an equal housing opportunity lender.
Are you seeing cracks in mortar, moisture working through walls, facade or structural failure beginning to surface? Bramwell Mackay sets the standard for exterior and structural building solutions. Our 40-year master masons and industry experts address moisture intrusion, failing foundations, masonry deterioration, and more. From preserving historic landmarks to addressing modern building envelope issues, Bramwell Mackay delivers full-spectrum service with white-glove professionalism. In Indianapolis, call 812-33-BRICK. 812-33-BRICK.
Are you a Clay County resident who is ready to be part of creating a brighter future for our citizens? Doug Cobb is running for county commissioner and will bring fresh perspective to the table. A local farm and business owner, he has skin in the game of our county's success. He knows that a great team can accomplish so much more than any one of us alone and is ready to create a brighter future for Clay County together. The committee to elect Doug Cobb approves this ad. Paid for by Linda Cheatham.
Hey guys, welcome back. Rob Kendall Show. Don't forget that website, robkendallshow.com, live feed, on demand, all the podcasting platforms. We got the transcripts of some of our favorite segments each day. A bunch of you guys just discovered those. I'm like, these are great. Yeah, they're pretty cool. Articles. We really write sort of articles based around our favorite transcripts each day. They're pretty cool. Check them out. And of course, we got that support button there. If you're feeling generous, if you're like, man, I love what these guys do, want to just throw a few bucks their way to support the program, we appreciate that. Speaking of support, thumbs up. Do that if you haven't. It takes 2 seconds, and it just helps us so much. Hit that like button. Also, subscribe. You guys are doing great. I saw those numbers are going up. We need to keep that rolling. That is the big thing right now, and we don't want to level off. We want to keep driving. We want to keep going forward. Hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends about us. Share the feed wherever you're getting the podcast. And by the way, subscribe on all the platforms, not just YouTube. If you're getting us on Apple, you're getting us on Spotify. Talked to somebody yesterday. She's like, I'm so glad you guys went to Spotify. It's where I get all my stuff. Now I can listen to you guys every day. I don't do YouTube, which we love you, YouTube. You're awesome. You've been so good to us. But wherever you're at, subscribe to the platform. And now it is time. Everyone's favorite producer.
Hello.
Favorite segment of the day
1, 2,
for
3.
many.
There we go.
Producer Jason joins us now. Hello.
Happy to be here, Rob, as usual. Next time, tell me when you're wearing the checked shirt, so I don't wear my checked shirt.
We basically looked the.
At least we're different colors, but,
it's not
what it is.
I had a question. Like I was worried because I have blue and then blue jeans. This is not a Canadian tuxedo, is it?
I don't have any idea what you're talking about.
You know, where like you wear like the blue on top of the blue, and you're just wearing all blue
You're
jeans.
not supposed to do that.
It's called a no. Well, I don't know. You're not supposed to. I don't think you do whatever you want. It's America, right? I think, but I don't think it is. That's what I'm saying. I think there's enough white like in these shirts that I don't think that counts.
So.
All right. What do you got?
Oh, okay.
It's your time to shine.
We got to rock right into it here. The live chat from YouTube. We always appreciate the YouTube comments. A lot of good ones today. And
yeah,
of course, we put the poll question out there. If we were to go to another hour, would you rather see that be say 9 to 10, which would make the show 9 to noon, like your old stomping grounds?
Oh,
or
yes.
10 to 1 and shake some things up and make some people sweat. It's easier to get to work at 10 than it is 9.
That was our big thing. Okay, so let me say, wait. Let me say, first of all, we're not signing ourselves up for an extra hour. We were just asked about it,
and
we
a couple
said,
more.
Yeah. That's what we said. We said, look, if things keep going the way they're going, which is great, we would be open to that. We're not signing ourselves up for it. We're not saying we're going to do it. We just said we thought it might be just a fun participation thing to say what would work best for you guys, because you're who we're here to serve. What time would work best?
There we go. So we had comments on that, but we had other comments. Those are sprinkled throughout. So we'll chronologically go down the list here. And it opened up the show with Jan Hatch, who said, just listen to your origin story with Jason. This would have been from yesterday.
That's right.
Heartwarming.
Oh.
You two should do your own version of the speed round. It's what endeared me to Rob.
So
this kind of is this is not really a speed round.
Yeah, no, it's not.
And we don't want me on here too much. Just this one segment's good.
It's so fast too. Like, I like the show because I can be slow now. I can be deliberate. I can work through the topics. Like I was talking to somebody yesterday that's a big supporter of our show, and they said, we love this show. I said, yeah, this is the media I've always wanted to do. These government guys pull so much crap that there's no way you can get through it in 5 minutes. And now I want to spend 20 minutes on it. I can spend 20 minutes on it.
Speaking of support, Jack the Libertarian. Jason needs a raise. This
Yes.
show rocks.
Yes.
Yes, it does. All right, Drain the Swamp. This group has an awesome sense of humor. You do. You guys, if you're not in the chat, you're missing it. That's half the fun of this show is just, I mean, there are hundreds, literally a couple hundred chat comments every day, and people just have a good time here watching the show, listening to the show, and participating in the show, which is why we do this.
You do have to be a subscriber, though, in order to chat.
Subscriber, yeah. You've got to stand up and raise your hand, say this is who I am, and I'm going to make a comment. And you can use a fake name. It's not like we know who you are technically. Other than Drew, we know who Drew is. How about allowing only homeowners to vote?
Didn't they used to have something like that? Didn't you have to be a landowner?
Right.
And,
I don't think that went very well.
I think the Constitution, that ran afoul the Constitution.
You're not off, Drew. I mean, there were other people that thought that.
Well, I mean, it would be fascinating to see if only people who... Here's the thing, though. I'm going to get on the property tax rant again for a second.
See, would that give Ethan like 50 votes since he owns 50 rental homes?
That's a good question.
I own each home. I get to 1 vote per home.
Well, and renters pay property tax. Like, this is the great misnomer. I used to hear this because when I was an elected official, I rented my home, and they were like, well, why should he get to make choices for the community? He doesn't even pay property tax.
Like, a decent member of society.
I pay more property tax than the homeowner because you pay 2% in a rental versus 1% if you own the. So I struggle with that because renters do pay property tax.
All right, and then back to should we start at 9 o'clock if we added a third hour, or continue to 1 o'clock? And we've got a few on that. LD Stoltz. 9 o'clock. Drew, 9 to noon. Let's see. Well, this is not... Okay. Drain the Swamp. I'd go with 10 to 1, but probably in the minority. Gives people the lunch hour to listen. That was my philosophy.
Yeah.
People, all these years, the people that don't get to sit on YouTube during the day or at work or what have you, lunchtime, they could experience the Rob Kendall Show.
Okay, let me explain to people, though, because they were like, why did you choose 10 to noon? Because it fits the schedule that I have now. Like, I am very involved in my daughter's life, right? So a big part of my morning is I am Mr. Mom. My wife works, and God bless her, and she's awesome. I take on the responsibility usually of like getting Livy ready to go to daycare. So get up with her, get her ready to go. My wife's getting ready for work. She's doing her thing. Look, I can be ready for work in 2 seconds, so it ain't no big deal to me. And I go into work later, right? Our show doesn't start till 10. So I planned this around, hey, I can do all the things I need to do. Now that we have the show, I get her ready, take her to daycare, come home. I'm really giving my whole day away here. And then I come home, I sit for about 30 minutes. I get the template done the night before. Look, are there any stories I missed? Anything we need to add? A lot of our outlets we use drop stories in the morning. I get everything printed out, get everything ready to go. I do the Facebook Lives and the Twitter Lives. All of this centers around being able to start at 10. If I start at 9, it's going to screw everything else up.
Props to the wife for having you trained so well, so quickly. That's amazing. Jack the Libertarian, 9 to 10. Mike Ham, 9 to 10.
Jeez.
Brian Bozick, absolutely you should go for a third hour, 9 to noon.
I so thought you were going to say Brian Bosma. I so wanted that to be Brian Bosma.
Ethan Hatcher, my vote would be noon to 1. There we go.
See, noon to 1 would work perfect for me. You're right, is the lunch hour.
I think it'd bring in I think it would bring in potential new listeners.
Yeah, and that would be perfect for me. Plus, then I could stay on my schedule. This is about me. It's my show. I could stay on my schedule better if we went from noon to 1.
All right, and Kevin Branham, noon to 1. C. Mills, 890. Rob has been a lot less off the rails since he started his show. I want the Rob who starts yelling more. That means he would be yelling at me.
Yeah.
So
here's the thing. I am able to, and then one of the reasons Jason and I knew this was going to be popular was because I wanted to do what I'm doing now, basically my adult life. I've wanted to do this media. When I have 20 minutes to get through things, I don't have the energy to scream for 20 minutes, and I can work through all of it. And it's like we're having a conversation directly. I'm able to look right at you, and we're able to have this. Now I know many people listen on the Apple, the Spotify,
sure.
can't hear us.
More and more every day.
But like I had 20 minutes to get through that property tax thing this morning. That gives me time to hit everything I want to hit, because every part of it's important. That's the point. Every part of what I'm saying on that is important because it all ties in together in the end. I can't yell for 2 hours a day. I just can't. I feel like what we're doing now is the best thing we've ever done. Like, I so look forward to coming to work every day. I so look forward to this. I think this is the most effective thing we've ever done, especially if you guys help us keep growing the show.
And I will attest to the fact that angry Rob has left the room. I mean, since you've been unemployed, I've not seen you angry at all. Your stress level is gone. You don't hate the world like you used to. And it's truly amazing.
Like, this is such true. This is such a great outlet for me. I love working with Jason. Jason's awesome. Jason and I've been together for years. Jason knows me other than my wife and my parents. Jason knows me better than any human being alive, and Jason knows how to handle me. That's the key.
Not intimately.
No. Jason knows how to communicate with me, and so he was able to help me set this up in a way where he knew I would succeed and be better at this than I've ever been before. And I think, like I said, if we keep growing this, if you guys help us keep growing this, we're going to be more effective than ever. Do we have a minute? Are you all right if I just go off for a second here?
It's your show. Right?
Well, I know,
so
but this is your segment.
My segment, but that's okay.
So I had a conversation, and I think I told you guys this. At least I know I told it on the Facebook and Twitter lives at the time. It was when I was still in the bedroom. Mm-hmm. I had a conversation with an elected official in the State House. And this was like something out of The Godfather, right? Like I was worried he was going to, come out with the gun, was it drop the gun, take the cannoli or whatever the phrase is, right? It was like I met this guy at a business, and we were like in the back away from everybody. And it felt like something out of The Godfather. But I was kind of telling him what I was going to do, not specifically because you don't know whose side anybody's on, or not that they would be able to do anything about it if they knew. But I was telling him, giving the high level what I was thinking about doing, because he was asking at the time. It's like everybody's asking in the State House, everybody's asking around, what are you going to do next? What's your next thing? And I told him this, right? My idea of this, and this has come to fruition basically as I envisioned it being. You guys have been way more awesome than I envisioned you being because you guys are amazing. And what this person told me is they said, you have the ability to be so much more influential than what you are, because everybody listens to you. Just a lot of people hate you and will never do what you say because they hate you. He said, I'm not even saying he goes, you're right on most of the stuff. He's like, the way you think about things, the way you see things, the way you talk about things. He's like, nobody else does that. And he goes, everybody in that State House listens to you. And he's like, wherever you go, they will listen to you. He said, but you have to think about your approach if your goal, because he said, well, like, what are you actually trying to do? I said, I'm trying to make a freaking difference. That's what I'm trying to do. And he said, if your goal is to actually make a difference, he said, your style has to change. Because he said, the information you're going to give is great. It was great before. It's great now. Your views were great before. They're going to be great now. He said, but if you want to lobby more effectively the people in the State House, he said, property taxes failed because they hated you. You were right, but they said, and we had talked about this on the time at the radio. We had lawmakers who came to me who were on our side in that and said, in the caucus, they were saying, you are not going to give a win to Rob Kendall.
So it's your fault that the whole property tax thing.
It's my fault it got started. It's my fault it failed. Think about that, though. Think about how pathetic that is. You're not going to give a win to him. You're not going to give in to him. You're not going to let him take a victory lap. They were willing to screw people over saying, we're not going to give the radio guy the win. So this person said, he goes, look, if your goal is to actually make a difference, they're still going to see you. They're still going to consume what you say. Try this different approach, and we'll see if it goes better.
Well, not only do we have awesome viewers and listeners, we have very influential viewers and listeners.
Can you imagine that? Telling somebody you're not going to give him a win. Yeah, but it'd be good for the people. You're not going to give him a. What is wrong with people?
So when Rob wins, we lose.
That's basically right.
Wow.
What they didn't,
Okay.
what they didn't want, and we've heard this before.
Right,
It's
right.
happened at a local level too. They didn't want me coming out and going, "We won.
Right.
Look at how influential we are." They said, "We'll show him," and all they did was show you how much they hate you. But anyway,
All right.
go ahead. Sorry.
Okay,
I didn't mean to get off on that.
Back to the chat. Old guy, Kansas. Or I assume that's Kansas. KS. Keep it 2 hours rather than a 3 mediocre hours. He
I
doesn't
can't do
have
th-
faith that you.
I
can
can't
carry
do
off
3
of-
good hours.
You can't.
I mean, I only get to like half of this template.
I think it's a challenge.
Yeah. Well,
Jack the Libertarian is back with Terre Haute. Has an awesome casino. You're talking about Terre Haute.
they do. It is very nice.
And what else do we have here about Terre Haute? Also, Jack the Libertarian, Terre Haute has a wonderful restaurant called the Coffee Cup. Best in the
Whoa,
state.
whoa. That's what he said?
That's what he said.
So-
Have you?
I've
had
been
a
there
cup
many
of coffee
times.
There?
I've been there many times. So
Okay.
my grandparents lived in North Terre Haute till the day they left.
Mhm.
And every weekend when I was a kid, I would go pretty much almost every time I would go over there. Not every single time, but a lot of times that is where we would go for lunch.
Awesome. All right. Continue.
Small
on.
world.
There we go. The coffee cup. Drew adds that Terre Haute smells.
It does.
And Andy Engel corrected Drew and said, I have to say, Terre Haute doesn't really smell anymore. The paper mill has been gone for decades. I do remember you drive. I never stopped in Terre Haute.
Yeah.
You drive by, you roll your windows up.
Does stink.
Yeah, there you go. And that's about it. As far as data centers, James McCartney wanted to add this in there. I live off Canby Road in the neighborhood right behind where the data center is going. My wife went to the meeting, and Josh Payne is a liar.
Does it mean Josh Bain?
Payne? I said Payne.
Oh.
I don't pay attention to your segments. I'm not sure on the names.
Look, those people are going to fight it, and I probably would too if they're putting it in my backyard. So I don't know.
Right.
Anyway, all right, let's take our final break.
Here we go.
When
Great comments, guys.
When we come back, diesel rather, is hitting $5 a gallon in Central Indiana. What impact will that have on the economy here in Central Indiana, across the state? We'll tell you when we come back. You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
Buying a home or thinking about refinancing? Work with someone local who understands the Central Indiana market. Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage helps homebuyers and homeowners explore options for purchasing, refinancing, or even consolidating higher interest debt through their mortgage. Gary's approach is simple, clear advice, and personalized guidance so you can make confident decisions. Visit loansbygary.homes to learn more or get started today. You've got nothing to lose but dollars on your mortgage payment. So call for a free, no-obligation quote, 317-695-5179. Gary Tedrow, NMLS number 179207 with Verity Mortgage, NMLS number 70345, an equal housing opportunity lender.
Are you seeing cracks in mortar, moisture working through walls, facade or structural failure beginning to surface? Bramwell Mackay sets the standard for exterior and structural building solutions. Our 40-year master masons and industry experts address moisture intrusion, failing foundations, masonry deterioration, and more. From preserving historic landmarks to addressing modern building envelope issues, Bramwell Mackay delivers full-spectrum service with white-glove professionalism. In Indianapolis, call 812-33-BRICK. 812-33-BRICK.
Are you a Clay County resident who is ready to be part of creating a brighter future for our citizens? Doug Cobb is running for county commissioner and will bring fresh perspective to the table. A local farm and business owner, he has skin in the game of our county's success. He knows that a great team can accomplish so much more than any one of us alone and is ready to create a brighter future for Clay County together. The committee to elect Doug Cobb approves this ad. Paid for by Linda Cheatham.
Hey guys, welcome back. Rob Kendall Show. Last segment of the day. I want to thank you guys so much, as always, for being with us. And Jason and I got into this a little bit earlier, and when we were talking about your comments each day. Look, you guys being here every day means the world to me, and I know it means the world to Jason as well. We're talking about, do we go a third hour? Do we add on to this? How do we grow this? This is my charge in life. And I don't know if accepted is the right word, but if accepted is the right word, I gladly accepted a long time ago that my charge, what makes me different, what makes me unique, what makes me special, is the ability to take on things that other people won't take on, to fight battles that other people won't fight, and to be an advocate and a voice for a group of people, in this case it's you, that deserve it, that aren't getting it. And, we talk a lot about styles. We're talking about, this is a different format than we had before. It's a different approach than we had before. Look, this is what we're doing is in my DNA. There was never a doubt in my mind that I wasn't going to do something when everything changed. Because taking this away from me might as well just be like, you can't breathe air. It just was never going to happen. And the key was to find the right format, much different than what we've ever had before, doing something different to try to reach people in a way different than we've ever done before. Because ultimately, clearly it ain't about the money, right? It's about you guys and the passion of my life. And look, I am incredibly blessed that, and I remember Rush Limbaugh saying this when I was a kid, and it always resonated with me. He was talking about somebody called him and was asking about, what do you do with your life? I can't remember the exact precipice of the conversation, but he said, find something you will do for free, you love doing, and figure out a way to get paid for it. And in that moment, I knew that this was what I was supposed to do. And I knew there would be financial sacrifice to do it, but I get paid, to do my hobby. For years, I got paid to do my hobby. Now I'm breaking even to do my hobby. Who else can say your hobby? That's why I love sports betting, right? I break even. I'm staying afloat doing my hobby. And you guys are what this is all about. You guys are the passion that is behind this. And look, we've had to make a lot of sacrifices to get this thing up and going, and investments and everything else, and that's okay. We don't mind doing that. I don't mind doing that, I should say. Jason may mind doing it, but I don't mind doing that, because in the long run, the conversations have to continue. And if the conversations are going to continue, they have to be, as me leading those conversations, the end result has to be as effective as it possibly can be. Effective for you in the terms of better policy and bettering your life. And if that means we got to switch things up a little bit, if that means we got to change approaches to get the message to people, then I'm all for that. I have always done the best and taken the best approach I could with the resources that I had available to me. And now I have a different set of resources available to me, a different avenue to communicate with people that I didn't have before. And so that's what we're doing here. And that's when it comes back to when we're asking you guys to hit the thumbs up button, to hit subscribe, to tell your friends, to share the feed. This is ultimately about you. It's about us creating the most effective environment possible to lobby for the best stuff to make things better for you. It's never been about anything but that to me. From the time I started learning, I always wanted to be on the radio. I always wanted to be in the media. But from the time I started learning, about 2006, 2007, 2008, about how, and I'll tell you when you really start learning how rotten the government is when you own a business. All the taxes you have to pay. Oh my gosh, it's horrible. But once I started learning that, I said, I am willing to commit myself to using whatever platforms I have to inform people about what's going on, and so that they can use that information to hopefully make their own lives better, advocate better for themselves, elect better people. And so that's what this is all about. So when we come back to asking you to do all of these things, we're all going to grow together. We're all going to be successful together. And Jason and I have been around long enough. We know the things that need to be done in order for this thing to grow. So it's not accidental. We know your time's valuable. When we ask you to call or email these sponsors, there's a reason for it. It's very important. When we ask you to hit subscribe, there's a reason for it. It's very important. When we ask you to hit the thumbs up button, none of it's trivial, even though it may sound trivial. It's all going to help us be better in the end. All right. Speaking of being better, this is not better. WRTV6 with an article about how diesel is hitting $5 a gallon in central Indiana. On Wednesday, according to RTV6, AAA reported the average price in Indiana was $4.94 a gallon. They found it as high as $5.37. WRTV6 did. And Michael Negrin is this guy's name. He's a senior fellow at the Center for American Progress. They're a nonpartisan. Is anybody really nonpartisan? At least that's how they describe themselves. Policy Institute, and they focus on issues related to affordability. He said what we are seeing right now is the largest gas spike in gas prices in more than 20 years. In fact, he tracked it back and he said the last time we saw anything like this was Hurricane Katrina. Nationally, there's been a 90% increase in gas prices over the last 4 weeks, more than $1 in the state of Indiana. And then they asked him about how does this go forward? Because we talked with Bill Herrick, the oil guy, about this the other day. He said, quote, last week, the Energy Department released a report predicting that it would be mid to late 2027 before gas prices return to their pre-war levels. 2027. Mid-2027. Guys, we're in for this for the next year. And this is what we talked about as we started this, literally this whole program. Not today, the whole program period. Talking about Iran and how you deal with Iran. You really only have two options, and they both have their ups and they both have their downs. Option one is do nothing. Try to maybe hem them in a little bit with your economic allies. Hope that they can do enough pressure to keep them in check, but you realize, hey, Iran's one of the world's largest state sponsors of terror. They hate us. Their goal is to destroy us. They're going to get us eventually if you do that. But the economy stays strong. Gas stays relatively cheap. All of those things are very positive. Option two is do what Trump's doing now. And while you may be able to get rid of some very bad people, you are going to cause absolute chaos in the economy. That's what's happening right now. There is no free lunch, right? There is no free ride. We are paying the tab as the American people in terms of, obviously, we have lost servicemen and women, which is horrible. We are paying in terms of we have our military actively engaged. People are being put at risk every day. But we are paying a personal price in terms of everything getting more expensive. Everything's going to get more expensive. And again, I come back to, and I had this conversation yesterday with someone who's very conservative, and we were talking about this war and like the people who are losing their minds if you question the war. The people who are losing their minds if you question our unwavering commitment to Israel. Look, Israel's our friend. They're stable. They're the one group of people out there. Now, maybe you could say Saudi Arabia now because we're so tied to them economically, but they're the one group of people who don't hate us. And you don't really have to worry about them trying to do horrible things to us. And I think you have to acknowledge that. You have to support them to some extent. However, I don't think it makes you an anti-Semite or bad or an awful person or mean you hate Jews or anything else to say, I think we've exceeded our limit to which our commitment should be to Israel. Because that's what this is really about. I mean, if we're being honest with each other, a big part of it is Trump and Trump's the government he oversees in the United States now and their staunch, unwavering commitment to Israel. I think we should be able to have that conversation and say, is everybody having to pay $1.50 more for a gallon of gas? And if gas goes over $4 and diesel over $5 and then everything else gets more expensive and the total disruption of the American economy, we could be getting near a recession. Is that really worth an unwavering commitment to Israel? People who lose their minds over that stuff, they really need to check themselves and their egos because we're all paying for this right now. We're all suffering to some extent. We're all inconvenienced to some extent. And as Americans, we have the right to question what our government does. As Americans, we have the right to say, hey, while I'm invested in a safe and secure Israel, I also don't think we can disrupt the entire world economy. We have to be able to have that conversation. And if you try to have that conversation and someone starts name calling you or belittling you or shutting you down, then that's that person who's the problem, not you. You have the right to question everything your government does. You have the right to object to everything your government does. You don't even, unless you're an Israeli citizen, you don't live there. You don't pay taxes there. They're lucky to have us. We have the right to say no. We have the right to say that price is too big to pay. It doesn't make you a bad person, and yet it seems more and more, especially in certain spheres of the conservative media, that people are absolutists on Israel. Either you do everything that Israel asks us to do, and if you question any of it, then you're an anti-Semite or you're a bad person or you hate Jews or whatever. We've got to get past that because that is not true at all. And those people should be resoundingly rejected. Those people should be pushed back on. Now, ultimately, reasonable people can disagree. Reasonable people can look at the exact same issue, the same set of facts, and come to different conclusions. There are some people who look at what's going on with Iran right now and say, oh, yeah, absolutely, it's worth it. Absolutely, it's going to make us safer. I'm willing to pay more. I'm willing to have higher costs for the long-term gain. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. And there's people who look at this and say, we've done enough for Israel. We are not good at nation building. We are not good at the what comes next aspect of this. And I don't want to have to pay all these premiums at a time where our economy is already constricting to some extent, to where affordability is already a major issue. I feel like I've done enough. And both sides have reasonable arguments and can be right. But the absolutes, the bullies, the people who start pushing you around if you object, no, we can't have that. Because you have the right to have an opinion about what your government does, especially when a primary driver of it is to support another government. All right, man, you guys were awesome today. I want to thank you so much. We're going to have a big show for you tomorrow. Jacob Stewart from Indy Star is scheduled to be here. We're going to talk about this rental cap ban that the state put on Fishers and Carmel. He's got some new data on how much Indianapolis schools are spending on people who don't speak English and what that's costing them and the budget cuts they've had to make, presumably to offset that. That's going to be a fascinating conversation. And I just want to thank you guys. I hope you have a great first day of March Madness. I hope you enjoy your brackets. I hope you enjoy the games. And just thank you for letting Jason and myself be a part of your life every single day. Please subscribe to the feed. Please hit the thumbs up button. Share us wherever you're getting us from. Let people know about us. That's how we're going to grow. We're all in this together. Producer Jason, fabulous job as always. Thank you to him. And we will see you guys here tomorrow, 10 until noon. Rob Kendall Show.